That's what we want to deal with. What really is the law about? It is plainly spoken of here. It is, or it was, a schoolmaster. The Apostle Paul is writing to the Galatian church to set them straight regarding the role of the law. Believe it or not, there are people today who still don't understand the role of the law. And when we talk about the law, we are talking about what is commonly referred to as, in theological circles, as the Mosaic law. Now, that law began with what we came to know as the Ten Commandments. But there was more than just those 10 commandments, for the law was expanded to deal with everything, including how the people dressed, as well as what they were to eat and not eat, what they should wear, what they should not wear. And so the law dealt with how we ought to treat one another, or how people should treat each other, how to deal with strangers, how to deal with the poor, how to deal with those who committed murder, how to deal with those who killed in self-defense, how to deal with the thieves, how to deal with robbers and others. The law was a comprehensive set of rules and guidelines to govern how the children of Israel were to act. Now notice what I said. I said it was to govern how the children of Israel were to act. Why did I emphasize that? I did so because the law was not written for you or for me. Walk with me, if you will. Look at what the text says. Wherefore then serveth the law? Why did the law come into being? It was added. Now, what was the law added to? That's a real good question, because a lot of people never take time to look at it and think about it. But the law was added to grace. Some of us think that grace was a Johnny-come-lately thing that God brought along in order to give us a path of escape. But listen, grace was in action before the law came. That's why in Genesis you'll discover that the word says, and Noah found grace in the sight of God. I'm glad that grace has been around. See, if grace hadn't been around before the law, man would have been wiped out and cut off a long time ago. But grace was always around. And so later, in order to get us to start doing right, because before the law came, every man did what was right in his own eyes. Before grace came, there was transgression, but there was no sin to identify it as transgression. So the law came in order to identify sin as transgression. Come on, let's get into the text. I'm going to try not to keep you too long. I'm looking at the clock. It's about 1:05. I'm going to do my best to get you out at 1:30. But if I don't, you just have to either leave or bear with me. When I look at the text, when we look at the text, look at the text. First thing is, here's the first thing I want you to look at. This is the first part of the outline. The law as a schoolmaster informs us of penalizing encroachments. The law as a schoolmaster informs us of penalizing encroachments. Any of you watch football? Any of you watch football? Come on, you confess up. I went to a football game Friday night. I got a chance to see Jonathan Bickerstaff running the ball and making a tackle. He put a lick on the boy, but coming up to halftime, it almost knocked him out. but penalizing encroachment. There is a penalty that is called upon the defense when they go across the line before the ball is snapped. And so they say encroachment defense, and they penalize the defense for encroaching and going into an area that they don't belong in. And so that's one of the things about the law. The law, as a schoolmaster, informs us of penalizing encroachments. Come on. Let me talk to you for a minute. Let's deal with what some of these penalizing encroachments are. First of all, the law reveals transgression as sin. It reveals transgression as sin. A lot of people have jaywalked, but they wouldn't know that they were jaywalking until a law says you're jaywalking. A lot of things people do, and they would do not knowing that they were doing wrong. That was a sin of ignorance. But now that the law has come, there is no longer a sin of ignorance. Now your transgression is revealed as sin. Your transgression is revealed as what it is. It is a sin. The problem that a lot of people have today in this world is that we're going back to just making it a transgression and not making it sin. But we need to now go back to calling sin, sin. Sin isn't just a mistake. It is a reproach unto God. It is a violation of God's will and God's way and the God's law. Sin is more, transgression is more than a mistake. Oh, don't. I just made a mistake. So you got to look over that